greetings and good day, YouTube and Twitch highlight watchers. How are you doing today? I myself am pretty excited to continue where we last left off in our, mega build of Minecraft. What we're going to be doing today is pretty much just... I'm not sure if I'm underground. I might be underground filling stuff in. No, I'm not underground filling. I already did that. I already did that off stream. That's right, I did. That's right, I did do that off stream. Pat myself on the back because I actually did something that I wanted to do off stream. Mind you, this is one of the reasons why I will no longer be focusing as much as I have in the past on the previous games that I've been playing. So, like, Sea of Conquest and Star Trek Fleet Command were two games that I really enjoyed and were playing a lot of. However, I was like, I could be doing other shit, and I decided to do that other shit, and actually did the fill-in that I needed. Right? Now, mind you, those are games that I will probably play again in the future on stream if I ever do pick up another sponsorship campaign for them through Stream Elements. Right? Yes, hello YouTube watchers, as says Stormwalker. Oh, we're, as of today's date, which is April, is it the 15th today? April 15th, 2024, we are at 99 subscribers on YouTube. We're almost at that big 1-0. Oh, 100. Big 100. I'm excited for that. One of the things that I've never really talked about, even though I do appreciate them, are like the milestone things, right? I don't talk about them a lot, but they always do hype me up. Like, I always do get excited for them, right? Like, I don't have how many followers I have on Twitch, but every Wednesday, I do look at my analytics across the board on YouTube, on Twitch, and it's nice to see that irregardless of what the growth is, the growth, since I have started making content, my growth has been very consistent up, and I'm very happy with it. That's exactly what I wanted to see when I started making content, you know? Some people will see larger spikes here and there, but eventually that'll happen, eventually it won't. I don't care. I do this for fun. I've already established it. Anyways, speaking of doing this for fun, I finally watched another 2 episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the animated series. Right? So, I've watched episodes 1 and 2. Now, for those of you that might be new to the series, this is something that I've been doing on and off. Last month or 2 months ago, I started doing this with... I felt like I wanted to watch Star Wars, right? And as I started to watch Star Wars, during the initial blurb, I started watching movies now, and I look for shit. I'm starting to look for shit that I never normally look, even in some video game, right? Like, earlier today, Relatize, linked me to a dude playing through all the Guitar Hero games and all the Guitar Hero songs on YouTube. Because if you don't know, on Mondays after we get through this vlog thing, we go into React Andean, which we don't make any content for React Andean stuff. That's just for live watchers, right? What happened on the live stream stays on the live stream. That joke. And we'll probably be watching that because of the opening. It was actually really intriguing. However, I noticed that the background, he had a case of games, and one of the games I noticed was Ninja Gaiden 3. So, that's some shit that I never would normally point out or look for. But I've started to look for that kind of shit more and more and more. I don't know why, but I love doing that. And I started doing that during Star Wars on the opening blurb, like a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, right? I caught a couple of things, and I started to be like, this is actually kind of ridiculous if you think about it. So I started analyzing it, and I'm like, I'm going to talk about this on Monday. Long story short, I now want to do that for the entirety of the Star Wars franchise. We are on the animated series, Season 1, Episode 4, I need to watch. I just got done watching 3 a couple days ago. And what I've done to be able to do these analysis, or whatever the word would be, for the plural of making an analysis of something. I am using the Google speech to text and basically just watching the video on my second monitor from Disney Plus while I say my thoughts, right? And I can tell you I'm really into the animated series because I actually kind of forgot I was doing that, and there are a couple parts where like I'm like saying I'm repeating myself a couple of times because I'm excited about what's happening. I'll point those out when we get to them. But I've really been enjoying, like, I first started doing it as a meme because I was making jokes about the Darth Jar Jar, like, Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord, here's why, right? And then insert the meme of SpongeBob SquarePants throwing down the list, you know, his massive list. Because if you really break down Jar Jar's character, that character's not who they seem they are, right? There's no way that Jar Jar is actually the bumbling buffoon that, like, yeah, there's a lot of shit that they do, and they are not as smart as, like, a Sith Lord. Like, they're not playing 8D chess while Palpatine's playing 5D. Also, fuck Palpatine. Anyways. The reason is because during the, like, again, getting a little bit sidetracked, but there's one scene in the first movie where, well, here's what we'll talk. I don't think Jar Jar Binks is a Sith. I really don't. But he is Force sensitive. He has to be. There's no way you can change my mind that there's something suspicious about them because there are some things that you say. I wrote this down on one of my breakdowns. Hold on. One of my breakdowns, I actually wrote the quoted line. In Star Wars Episode 2, no, not Episode 2, Episode 1, when the princess, Padme, the queen of Naboo, who was elected, the elected queen of Naboo, who was too young at the time, I'm thinking, like, we're talking, like, 16 to 18 years old. Keep this in mind, right? Keep this in mind. 16 to 18 years old. Because this is supposed to be for like a massive analysis. I actually am glad I've done this. Because what I've done is I actually have Monday info topics, and I can go through all the Monday info topics and find out when last yeah, right here. Okay. This is the analysis I did for... This is gonna... Buckle up. This is gonna be long. This is from 2024 to 26, which means the second month, the 26th, the day of that month, in the year 2024, this is the thing that I did for Monday. Borderlands trailer, my thoughts. You know what? It actually looks pretty good. It doesn't try to take itself seriously. May have to watch it. Real talk. Was surprised by some of the choices, but, like, the characters felt like they should, right? Like, people were freaking about Kevin Hart being Roland. I felt like Kevin Hart and Roland, like, that kind of makes sense. I wonder if, like, Brick is there. What's up with Brick? I didn't see Brick. He's kind of an important character. Sea of Conquest is actually dope. Let me show you it, and then I pull it up. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Shit, I am hype. Everyone's thoughts were right about where the DLC should start. Mikola over there. I'm so hyped. We're actually going to be playing Elden Ring the month before the DLC comes out. Tiny update to the Lego Fortnite with fishing. A week after I talked about that game needing fishing. So there's that. And then we started watching Star Wars in timeline order on Disney Plus on Friday. The Supreme Chancellor sent 2 Jedi out on a secret mission. I wrote all this shit, by the way. This is before I started doing the Google speech to text. I wrote every one of these words. The Supreme Chancellor sent 2 Jedi out on a secret mission. Qui-Gon is ignoring his Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and actually being mindful of the Force, but Qui-Gon's like, you're telling him to be mindful of the Force when he says he senses a disturbance in the Force, right? The 2 Trade Federation immediately try to kill the 2 diplomats that was sent by the Naboo Queen, Padme, right, after contacting Lord Sidious. Random thought, how much could you get for droid parts or weapons, right? Like, if I was a Sith, or whatever. And like, I was collecting everything, and I could get money for that. How much would I get for a droid blast? Random thought. Darth Jar Jar may be a thing. He started to react before the attack started, right? And then in parentheses, this is partially a joke. The Gungans not liking outsiders, but Jar Jar latching onto these two strangers is a bit sus. And then the jump, right? Other showings of athleticism, Gungans, question mark, question mark, question mark. The sounds make them terrified, and they don't even acknowledge the strangers. They're talking about Jar Jar, right? They're more focused on Jar Jar. Why is that? Right? Then the Jedi mind trick. Like, they're focused on Jar Jar, first of all. But they do the Jedi mind trick. And his voice changes a bit. His voice does change a bit. A bit when he's being like, better dead here than the core. Then goes back in character and goes, "Egad, what's a Misa saying?" Like his voice, his whole tone shifts. His whole tone shifts. That's weird to me, you know? I'm partly playing a character. I'm partly serious. Like I feel there's more to Jar Jar than the clumsy getting caught, right? And I do write this clumsy. Getting caught being evil is a bit clumsy. Also, love how important Senator Palpatine is in all. Probably would depend on the droid model, yeah? Well, it seems like that, but in the Clone Wars, the animated series, you actually hear Dooku talk about how expensive droids are, where when Grievous smashes a droid, like he breaks a droid by smashing his head, and Dooku's like, "General, those are mighty expensive." Like, so they might seem like they have a limitless amount, but there is a cost going into the droids. So let's keep that in mind, because one of the things I wanted to try to keep track of was the cost, the whole cost of the war. I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, I'm writing information down, and I'm gonna try to like do. It's gonna be a small guess about what the actual cost is, but it's going to be massive. Anyways. So, like, it's so important that Senator Palpatine is the one that's, like, getting the help, right? There's no suspicion at all toward the way they use the lightsabers. It feels like they seem like they have more weight than you would think they should, right? Like, you think a lightsaber would just be, like you could just, like, attack as fast as you could because of how light they are, but it seems like there's more weight to them. I noticed. I'm that was more of just an outside observation, like breaking the fourth wall type thing observation. I'm trying to keep track because there's a lot here. Also, I brought up something about Jar Jar talking to the droids, right? And it's kind of weird to me. Like, how common is understanding a droid? You know what I mean? Like, I almost feel like my mom one time asked me a question about Family Guy, right? Just an outside observation. She went, "Why is it that Stewie can say all the things that he says, and it only seems like Brian's the one that understands, right? Like everyone always treats Stewie like a baby, right?" And I said, to me, in my head, what it is it's kind of like how dogs talk to each other. The humans are hearing barks, but the dogs are hearing English. It's the same concept. Stewie's actually babbling like a baby, right? But we, the viewers, are allowed to hear what Stewie's actually saying. I know that's not what the actual case is. It's more in line to like, he's a baby, he's not actually speaking, right? That kind of thing. Also, it's a cartoon character, it doesn't matter. But as you can tell, I really like analyzing things. It makes me excited to break things down. And it's dumb. It's a waste. But it's fun. I love doing this. Because it's like, right here. So does it actually make a difference that Jar Jar wakes up all the droids by going, hello, boyos? Also, wait a minute. Break down something else I noticed. Jar Jar doesn't make any complaints when he goes into outer space. And I've actually done a little bit of research into this. Gungans have never really left space. And there's actually a couple of, like, there's actually one case where a Gungan left space and was freaking out about being into space. And I was like, wait a minute, Jar Jar never Wait, Jar Jar didn't freak out. Why didn't Jar Jar freak out about going into space? He was fine with it. The most fucking contradictory thing ever. Like, seriously, they're supposedly expensive. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But think about the clones, too. And the Star Destroyers. Trust me, this is going to be fucking insane. This is why I like breaking this shit down. So far, in Episode 3, the cost of the war has been... I'm also including the actual live action of the Episode 2 movie. We have a couple of Jedi that have been slain, right? We know that. The bounty hunter killed him. The other Fett, not Boba Fett. What's his name? Jango Fett, right? Yeah, Jango Fett, the bounty hunter. He died, and then we have a couple of Jedi that got killed during the battle. We also have a couple of warriors on both sides. I would say a clone, a couple of transport vessels with clones. Yeah. And then they blew up that. Technically, not really a part of the war, but you can kind of count Anakin early on in Episode 1 when he blew up the Federation ship. Those are the first kills of the war, technically. And Anakin Skywalker, at the tender age of, I think, 6 or 8, got their first kills. Congratulations. We have our first child soldier of Star Wars. And we got a lot of information about child soldiers since we just got done playing and beating Metal Gear Rise and Revengeance for the first time. This is going to be a lot longer than I intended for it to be. Holy shit. Anyways. Yeah, exactly. But those kind of costs, we'll never really be able to figure them out. So let's just count the lives and the items as what's lost and come up with a price later. You know what I mean? Like, let's kind of come up with our little guesstimate first. I'm trying to stay hydrated because I'm talking a lot. And my mouth's getting dry as I talk. And we barely played Minecraft today. So... I still want to get through this analysis of Episode 1. Normally I wouldn't do this, but this kind of is making my point productive. Because I wrote all this. Like, is this a Force-sensitive thing, or can anybody just understand droids? Jar Jar claims they're afraid, but it doesn't feel real. Like, the fear is like, oh yeah, I'm afraid. You're not, though. You're not. Like, we've seen you be afraid. We've seen you be sad, too. Right? But anyways.
With one daily scoop of 75 vitamins, probiotics, and whole food-sourced ingredients in less than 60 seconds.
Also, I realized something because there's something about, like, the Queen and how Padme pretends to be the Queen in the Episode 1 and how, as a result, she talks about slavery being illegal, but she lets this slavery still exist. This is something I brought up. Like, slavery is supposed to be mega illegal, right? Why didn't you bring up the planet that had slavery on it when you went there? What the fuck is up with that? There's a lot of shit that, if you think about it, shouldn't have happened the way that it happened, right? Because of Episode 2 and all that. But like like that's a big old plot hole right there, or that's not a plot hole, a lack of common sense in the plot. That's what it is. Because if Padme brought up the slavery issue and they actually did what they were supposed to do and prevent the slavery on this planet, which is supposed to be a part of the Republic with credits will define. No, they won't. All right, Walu, or Wado, or whatever your name is. Republic with credits will define. No, they won't. What, do you think of some kind of Jedi? Anyways, outside of Watto, I have a really good memory when it comes to stupidest of shit. Right? Like, I have a goldfish memory when it talks about short-term memory, but when it comes to this type of shit, it's like a steel trap. Ridiculous. My nose is a little stuffy and irritating me, so that's why. Jar Jar talks droids. Isn't that a force sensitive? Jar Jar claims Spirit doesn't feel that slave exists up, even though it's mega illegal. Like what? I think the chance die was loaded, right? I think that Watto had the chance die loaded, and the chance die is like there's only one or two sides that are blue. Then again, he could have just been angry that he lost, but he didn't lose for legitimate reasons. He lost because Qui-Gon made the die do that. Right? And then Qui-Gon does not bring the mother along, right? He doesn't go for the mother as well. He doesn't fight to get the mother as well because of the indoctrination that the Jedi have to do for the children, right? The children are taken away from their parents at such a young age because they were saying that Anakin was too old to be trained, and because they were saying he was too old to be trained, he was 8. And how is that too old? It's too old because at a younger age you can indoctrinate them more to be slaves to the Jedi Order, the Jedi Council. Yes, I would definitely be a Sith in the Star Wars universe. And I could tell because if you actually break it down, the fucking Jedi are fucking what the Empire becomes, right? The Jedi are actually what the Empire becomes, but they lie about it. Because if you read the whole blurb about, the Jedi are supposed to protect the galaxy, but they pick sides, right? The Jedi are not they're supposed to be impartial, but they're only impartial for the benefit of the Republic. You can tell I'm passionate about this, right? You can tell I'm passionate about this because I need to stand up some. I gotta step away for a moment. I'm gonna continue basically this mega breakdown that I didn't intend for it to be a mega breakdown. I intended to talk about the animated series episodes 2 and 3, talking about way more than I. Oh yeah, they are. It's actually, this kind of inspired me to want to start to write more fan fiction revolving around the Star Wars universe. Because holy shit, I could have a field day with that world. Holy shit. Just wait. I'll be back in a minute. Oh, and you know what? Before I forget, I'm gonna run minutes of ads. Nothing else happening. Get rid of the pre-roll as well. Appreciate y'all dealing with that. Thank you kindly. Back momentarily. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's all good, Storm. I do appreciate you stopping by. I hope you enjoyed your stay, even though it was kind of short. That's a-okay. Get yourself that good rest. Until next time, take care and have yourself a good one. Time zones, man. They be a bitch. They do be a bitch. So, but yeah, I kind of like, long story short, because I did want to go through the whole thing, but I'm realizing this is a lot. I wrote down a fucking, right? Because seriously, it is the whole analysis of it, and I wrote it down. But I wanted to talk about the fact that, oh, I got pretty mad at this. What was it? Jeez, this is all caps? Hold on, wait a minute. Maybe I should read this whole... Because this is... I forgot about how excited I got here. Realized they didn't get Mother because of the indoctrination, children's life being a Jedi. Kind of fucked how awful the Jedi are. Lying, cheating, stealing. Also, last time Anakin sees their mother healthy and fine. Great acting on the kids' part. They say too old because harder to indoctrinate. Also, imagine if Qui-Gon actually got to take Anakin on as an apprentice. Why couldn't the Force Ghost talk to Anakin later on before Anakin goes Darth? Because that was an ability teased at the end of 3, I believe. Yeah, I started to get ahead of myself. Alright. To be Anakin and Obi-Wan as brothers with Qui-Gon as father would like that. Oh, that was me. That was me talking, just like my random thought. Yep, that was a random thought I had about that. Like, it would be cool to see that storyline. Like a what if. Jar Jar snoring and movement was inconsistent, right? It felt like Jar Jar just so happened to get quiet when, you know, Annie and Padme were talking. Also kind of weird how Padme is a crater robber. What if Padme stayed with Anakin and Obi didn't sneak aboard and they leave? Oh, yeah, Sith family. Yeah, that was... Wow, I wrote a lot of shit down about the whole fucking series, didn't I? Jar Jar even whispered to Anakin about the queens being nice. Pretty hot. Wait. This is what I wrote. Jar Jar, when they went back, they went to the senator, they talked to the senator, and they were talking about how, like, Jar Jar talks about how nice the queen's being. That's pretty hot. That's exactly what Jar Jar says to Anakin. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, Darth Jar Jar is playing 8D chess whilst everyone, even Palpatine, is playing checkers, right? Palpatine is manipulating the queen, so simply. Also fuck the council because they immediately were like, nah, not a Sith. But yeah, I guess we will investigate. Balance to the Force does not mean Jedi only, it means balance, so either equal no Jedi, in my opinion. Also re-selected Queen. Not how that's supposed to work. If you think about a queen, how a queen works is not supposed to be elected. That'd be more of a prime minister. Also Palpatine whispering in her ear and the poor Supreme Chancellor. He felt so betrayed. Like, he truly did want to help, but she voted for no confidence. I was so bad. I felt so bad for him. Obi-Wan is too indoctrinated to be what Anakin needs to train her. Right? In episode 2, he flat out tells Anakin to obey and listen to counsel. What? Jar Jar also whispering into her ear about the Gungans' Grand Army, right? Like, why would Jar Jar, with no reason whatsoever, bring up, like, he didn't bring up about needing a war or battle or something like that because it's retroactive. Out of nowhere, Jar Jar kind of talks about how grand the army of the Gungans is, and then later, when she needs an army, she knows the Gungan army. Like, that felt a little bit weird. That's why I brought up there's more to Jar Jar than meets the eye, because that came out of nowhere. Of course, Palpatine gets elected as Supreme Chancellor, and that's a surprise. Right? All this Palpatine set up in order to become the Supreme Chancellor for what one could say is unlimited power. So worried not for the Queen's life, but for the risk that poses to his power should she sign a treaty, or perhaps even die, I would imagine. Then again, this person fucking makes plans around plans around plans, and I hate Palpatine. Not even because of the character. He plays the actor plays the part so well, but because of the idea of Palpatine. Why? I hate the why of Palpatine. Or the how of Palpatine. They talk about fear, but say the boy is too old, and their future is clouded. The code, fuck the code, and they care so much about using the Queen as bait to get info on the Sith instead of protecting the galaxy. And listen to Obi-Wan. The boy is dangerous. Fuck off, you. Jar Jar yelling at the top of his lungs about going home. That felt weird. Wait a moment. How come Jar Jar knew about how much that meal? Right. Oh, right. I backtracked because, on the land on Tatooine, when Jar Jar is trying to steal the food. He gets caught, and the dude says, you're going to have to pay for that, I would imagine, right? I don't think they actually, I don't think we get subtitled. And Jar Jar says something back, and he understands it, and he tells him how much it costs, and he says 7-something. And Jar Jar, in surprise about the 7-something, spits out the food. Now, you could say, oh, 7... you could imagine if that said $7. $7 for that did seem pretty expensive, right? I guess. So it makes sense that, that would be Jar Jar's response. But that 7-something could be cheap as shit. So that could either go to be one of those things of, Jar Jar actually overreacting, or Jar Jar understanding what that amount actually is and how much that means. Then again, that could be me reading too much into it. But what's a little bit of an analysis without reading too much into anything, right? Whatever. And he was aquatic species. How alright he was for the desert, right? He brought it up a couple times, and I feel like he only brought up how hot he was if other people were also saying something about it. He's an aquatic species. Should not really be okay with being out in the desert for as long as he was. I jumped ahead a little bit because we're on the thing about the Jar Jar brought it up. Think about this for a moment. Cannot use our power to help her, but used it so many times to help your own agenda, you hypocritical cocksucker. That was when Qui-Gon was talking about not using the Force to help our own agenda in the situation where Padme was trying to get help for Naboo. And it's like, what do you mean you can't use our own power to help? You fucking used it to get Anakin. You used your power to guarantee that you would win Anakin. Also, that's kind of fucked up if you think about it. Qui-Gon bet a ship for a slave. Qui-Gon would be technically a slave owner in this situation. For a good cause, I swear. As soon as Anakin got out of slavery, he was thrust into war. Death combat has never known peace. Truly. First Wilhelm scream was during battle at the spaceport. Also, Anakin is a smartass, said stay in the ship. So he stayed in the ship. Jar Jar telling everyone to stay steady, steady when he passed out without an ounce of fear is a bit sus. Also, the fact that the general, the big Gungan guy, laughed when Jar Jar passed out. You could say, yeah, he was laughing because Jar Jar passed out and thought that was funny. Or you could be saying he laughed because he knows Jar Jar, that's not the real Jar Jar. There's more to Jar Jar than meets the eye. The scene when Maul shows up actually gave me chills. It's such a good moment. Maul's a fucking badass to take on multiple Jedi. Qui-Gon, taking on the Jedi they took on, that's insane. Jar Jar directing the blaster with the robot using his feet. When Jar Jar did that Also, why do blasters have recoil? Darth Maul could have went for a slash, but went for a kick. Wonder if Obi-Wan messed Qui-Gon up with how impatient Obi-Wan was being. Right? Like, that was just... Some of these are just random thoughts I wrote down. I absolutely love how Qui-Gon meditated while both Obi-Wan and Maul paced. Like, impatiently paced while Qui-Gon was just, like, meditating. That's such a bad... Like, that's so much more badass than pacing. The gates closed way faster. I actually did a countdown. Based off of the timing that they showed, the cycle that it was open, it like short cycles, basically. Obi-Wan let rage and anger lead him in the fight against Maul. Can't deny that. And that's something you're not supposed to do as a Jedi, right? Maybe you fought a bit like that before your master died, you would have been golden. But alas, was not to be. Anakin accidentally saved the day by hitting the reactor core with those plasma bombs. Anakin's first kills, by the way, as a child soldier. Quite poetic that Obi was able to use Qui-Gon's saber to cut Maul down to size. Haha. Supreme Chancellor gets bowed to by Jedi. Supreme Chancellor gets bowed to by Jedi. Palpatine had Jedi bowing to him. Also, Palpatine saying he'll keep eyes on Anakin, especially on you. Not sus at all. You can see Palpatine is the only one not sad about the death of Qui-Gon. Also, did not see any other feats of athleticism from Gungans. Seemed very straightforward. He plays the full extreme spell. That's basically what it breaks down. And then I had written down playing Season 1 of Fallout on Episode 6. Wait. Oh, so the way that I write down these episodes is like a season and then an episode, right? This is technically Season 1, Episode 120 of Minecraft. Or the OYBT I'm not keeping track of. Like, I'm not actually remembering how many there are. The OYBT will always continue, but the Monday game will change. And instead of it being Minecraft, it might be Terraria or something in the future. I don't know yet. I'm just throwing out a game that it might could be it could be not Minecraft. Dwarf Fortress. I keep saying Minecraft when I'm thinking about Dwarf Fortress because I always love bringing up the fact that Minecraft was inspired by Dwarf Fortress. Also, speaking of Minecraft, maybe I should play that game after an hour of literally being on that screen. My apologies. I'm very into the conversation at hand, as you can. But yeah, right off the rip, I had noticed while playing Fallout, normal combat, they really fucking nerfed super mutants and Deathclaws. Holy shit! I kind of wish Deathclaws were like as scary as they're supposed to be, right? I'm gonna add mods when I play Fallout 4 to make Deathclaws scarier. Maybe the same for super mutants. Not sure though. I actually got insider information on this. Again, this was as of 2024, the second month of the 26th day of that month. Turkey banned/blocked Twitch and Kick, likely due to the gambling content, right? And you want to know why? That's not like the, oh, how dare they gamble. That's the gambling companies in Turkey paid the government to do that because of the competition that was going to represent to them. That's from an insider buddy of mine. Like, someone who's down on the ground over there. So yeah, that was insane to me. Now that was on that day. On this day, the 15th day of the 4th month of the year 2024. This is going to be exactly what I said to Google. Alright, hello, greetings and good day. How are you all doing today? I'm myself pretty excited for today. We are going to be watching and analyzing episode 2 of Star Wars The Clone Wars, the animated series. Rising Melvins. Don't know what I said there, but it wasn't that. Just from the thumbnail, I'm excited for because we see Dooku in the back and another individual in the front. That individual is none other than General Grievous. Right? This is episode 2. So all the advertisements are going for this. All I'm going to say is I'm literally sat back in my chair, my feet are up on my little stool, and I'm pretty much just going to have this going the entire time, and I'll try to articulate to the best of my ability and something else, something that grabs my attention, or anything like that. Also, the quote of the episode is, "Belief is not a matter of choice, but of conviction." It's not your choice if you believe something, but it's how convinced you are of that belief, whether or not you truly believe it. And that is how I read it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, do you really believe what you say you believe? How much conviction do you have in what you believe? And what's really funny is you can ask some questions about conviction and be like, well, there are some games that I said I would never play on stream. But if you do the command !pay me then. Yeah, you pay enough money, sure. I put a value on certain things I have thoughts on, right? Like Apex Legends. I don't want to play that game. Same with Let It Die. I'll play Let It Die too when it ever comes out. But I might not stick with it if it's the same exact game. But yeah, actually we can work on the farm today. The tree farm. Got something right in the beginning here. The fact that they're getting ambushed, like all of their starships, right? All of their starships have been getting ambushed by some new weapon. We know because of our pre-knowledge that where this ambush is coming from. Because it's more likely it's Palpatine that somehow is feeding information to Dooku as Sidious or whatever. So Dooku or Tyrannus, Darth Tyrannus, Sith name, right? The way the first couple of episodes worked here, it just introduced characters, like right off the rip, boom. Episode 2, hey, guess what? Anakin Skywalker and his Padawan, Ahsoka. What? A Padawan? Wait, what? What's going on? Can't lose any more ships, so already we got one entire starship just destroyed, right? An entire starship gone. The ambush that took it out, new weapon that they were testing, make that too. We're seeing a couple of people escape from the Jedi's. So, they show, basically what they're showing is a lot of, like, the systematic elimination of anybody that was on the starships to show, like, what we were dealing with. Got to see the new weapon, like, the viewer had more information than the characters in the show, right? I might have to do this a little bit differently, I'm noticing, as I say this, because reading word for word what I said doesn't make too much sense. I need to word differently. Yeah, I need to word differently, because it didn't pick up certain things, or, okay. This is a learning thing, though. This is why I do this. Learn. I'm getting nothing done today in this because anytime I do an analysis, it gets like this, especially when I'm very hype about it. Normally, I would be able to kind of... Give me a second. This is what I'll do. Let me read this really quickly, get a refresher, and then I'll talk about it. One moment, please. My apologies. They do a great job of making things tense. I do want to bring this up, though, because there was times where, as I was talking, I did complain about how fast it was, and then I brought up how it's supposed to be meant for kids. Like it's a cartoon, right? I thought that one of the coolest moments is where the Jedi battle was taking place in the outer space, right? That felt pretty cool. And how the Jedi took one of the clones and used the Force to throw him behind the other droids. Right.
Wi-Fi for enhanced security and privacy, and a free Spectrum Mobile Unlimited line with nationwide 5G included, all while saving big. For the big speed, big reliability, and big savings you want, get
So,
Spectrum One.
during the first couple of episodes, saw Palpatine and Sidious brought up, right? During episodes 2 and 3. We also get to see a little bit of how the relationship is between Anakin and Ahsoka. Like this is basically like she's been under Anakin for a couple of days, like a couple of weeks at this point, I would say. The wars started. One of the other Jedi that was introduced during the episode is actually the Jedi who brought Ahsoka into the Jedi Order. They introduced a lot of new characters: Anakin's Padawan, Ahsoka, General Grievous, and what's the Tawan or something like that? Something? What's his name? Fuck. Can't think of it. Episode 3 was a direct continuation of episode 2. Okay. So, episode 1. Let me go over episode 1. Episode 1. We had an introduction to the series with Yoda leading a group to talk to a king to do an alliance. Of course, somehow, the Sith had spies and they were already there in order to interrupt and prevent the Jedi from getting that base. They failed. And we were introduced to a new character, that being a Sith apprentice. We don't know their name yet, but we knew they had 2 red lightsabers. Yoda took them, gave them back, and then asked her to surrender. I think that was the stupidest thing he could have done. How far away? 1, 2. Yeah, that's not enough shit. I needed to actually, because it's too close, so I need to fix that. Anyways. The whole episode was basically an introduction to how the clones are different from each other. Like, right? The first 3 episodes were basically, hey, these clones, they might be from the same person, but they have different personalities. I liked how they did that. We also, again, get to see how the Jedi treat the clones and